This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites. A no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
Hello, you numpties. This is the villain, Marty Skell, and you're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to our Patron Mailbag episode number 21. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and once again, we are here to answer the questions posed to us by those of you who have been kind and generous enough to go to patreon.com/BWO and sign up for one of our patron tiers and contribute to making this show what it is. And we are so grateful that you do that, because without you, we could not be doing this show. So thank you to everyone who is one of our patrons. If you're not a patron yet, you can go sign up, or you can just sit here and listen to what our patrons have to ask us and how we respond to it, because it's a lot of fun for us, and hopefully it's a lot of fun for you as well. Nick, are you ready to answer these questions today? Because Lord knows after that show when we were bitching about Super Showdown, I am fired up and ready to do this.
Yes, ready to have some fun. Guys, head over to BWOpodcast.com. It is sort of the hub of everything, where you can find all the links to our social media. If you're watching here on YouTube, definitely all the links to everything is down in the description below. Make sure you're in the Discord chat for Revolution tonight and for any of the shows throughout the week to keep the spoilers out of the Facebook discussion group. But the live chat is fair game for any of the shows all throughout the week. Thank you to all of our patrons from me as well. And make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel here at youtube.com/bustedwideopen. First question coming in this week from Mr. Josh. He says, okay, I got a few this week. We don't have time for a few.
We got it. We got this, Nick. Come on.
We got you, though.
We got you.
So, he said, saw a sign during the Super Shit show that said Riyadh for WrestleMania.
Ha.
Do you think they could cut a big enough check to actually make this happen?
Could they?
Also,
Could they? Yes. Will they? They shouldn't. London should get it before them. A lot of places should get WrestleMania before them. Yeah, absolutely. Because you can't do women's matches there. You can't do real women's matches there.
There you go. That if there's no other reason that, yes, they cut a big enough check. Absolutely, they could cut a big enough check out of Saudi Arabia. It'll never happen though, because you can't have.
It's literally what Super Showdown is they're putting on a show that has like all the pyro and spectacle of WrestleMania, but they're not going to build the matches for it. And frankly, if you've seen the audience there, they don't really seem to care. They're just happy to have a show. And it's a big show in a big arena with tons of pyro. They don't need WrestleMania. They've got Super Showdown.
WrestleMania is not for them.
Well, kind of. In the same way that Super Showdown's not for us. It's
fair. Totally fair.
You know what I mean?
He said also Paul Heyman is not in the Hall of Fame. Why do you think that is? And when do you think he'll be inducted, and who should induct him? He's not there because he's still working diligently.
Boom. I think you hit that. When will he be inducted? After he retires? Who should induct him? God, if he, man.
Bork Laser.
Brock, yeah, but Brock can't really talk. I mean, Stone Cold. Stone Cold could induct a lot of people. Could induct Paul. I don't know if anyone but Vince really could.
Tommy Dreamer.
Tommy. Yeah, right. I'd be down with that. But I just don't think that, given Paul's history, that's enough of a stature there. Like, you got to have someone with some stature to induct Paul, and it would have to be someone like a Steve Austin or a Vince.
Michael P.S. Hayes. Somebody that's worked backstage with Paul. Michael Hayes, maybe Vince himself.
Get out of here with that Michael Hayes stuff, man.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Good questions.
Line Drive said Jim Cornette.
That, you know what?
No.
I hope that Paul Heyman and Jim Cornette have a podcast one of these days.
Oh
in
my
the future.
God. Oh.
And they just tell wrestling stories from the 90s and
You
beyond.
think our shows are long? They would just never stop. They'd take an hour off a day. They used to be 23 hours podcasts.
I would listen to every minute. I absolutely would. Thank you, Josh, very much. Next up, Jacob. With the title change at
Sasha Banks, is that you?
I'm still amped. With the title change at Super Showdown that makes 2 Super Showdowns in a row where a major title has changed hands, is there any reason to shock title changes at the Saudi shows other than to get eyes on the shows, and will it be a pattern going forward?
Well, the reason for this one wasn't to get people to watch the show. It was to get the title on Goldberg as soon as possible so that they could plan for WrestleMania. And a way to do it was to put it on a show that a lot of the American audience wouldn't necessarily watch. So, unfortunately, that kind of backfired because, it's a 3-minute match. We can watch it on YouTube in, no time at all and just be mad about it all over again.
You can put that in a tweet.
Right. You could
They allow up to 3-minute videos in a tweet.
Make a GIF of it.
Could be a TikTok,
Yeah. So, no, I don't think that it's to get eyes on the shows. I think that it definitely helps because there was a point where we were like, there's no reason to watch these shows because titles never change hands. And then the title started changing hands. So it does give people a reason to tune in, which I think they should have done. And I'm glad that they're doing it now from their perspective. I'm not glad because, it means the shows actually matter more, which I really didn't want them to matter more. But I don't think that's the only reason that they're doing it is just to get eyes on the show. It's also a matter of convenience when they have to get things done in time. They had no other opportunity really to,
imagine you're a business.
No other opportunity. Hold on a second. They could have had Goldberg beat Fiend at Elimination Chamber, but they did it at Super Showdown because they're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Because they're paying for all of these big stars, and over there, of course, the big stars, and over here, frankly, actually, now that I think of it, Undertaker and Goldberg are still bigger stars than anybody else in the current roster. So you're getting a big star, having a match, and you're having a title change, and that's making the Saudis feel like they're getting bang for their buck. So I think it's not just about getting our eyes on it; it's making the Saudis happy that they're paying tens and hundreds of millions of dollars for this.
They're paying for a show. Let's give them the spectacle. Let's give them something special about it. But hey, at the same time, we can take advantage of it to course correct some of our booking errors.
Yep. Or make more booking errors.
Yeah.
Because we had booking errors.
Depending on your perspective.
Right. Exactly.
Thank you, Jacob. Next up, Martin asked, oh boy, this is Nick's worst nightmare.
Yes.
WWE fires all their tag teams.
Ah!
If they committed to not having tag team wrestling, I'd kind of be okay with that.
Right.
But what
like,
they do
is
is kind of make a mockery of it.
Do it or don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, do or do not. There is no try.
Thank you, Yoda.
You each have to make up 2 teams of singles wrestlers and then give them a kick-ass tag team name. 3 days ago, I thought of a great question, but my memory is shit and I can't remember it.
This is a good one, though.
So we have to each make up 2 teams of
singles
wrestlers.
Oh, so it is your nightmare. You got to make a singles tag. You got to make 2 singles tag teams. Oh man.
Keith Lee and Otis Dozovich.
What's their tag name?
The Porterhouses or something. I don't know.
The Porterhouses. Oh,
beef
God.
stew.
The beef stew. Oh my God.
That's not a bad idea. I might actually that's going to come into play here in one of the later questions.
Oh,
but
no.
I'm going to write that one down actually.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm not necessarily mad at that, but I was actually going to think more like Keith Lee and Braun Strowman. Let's call them the Mountains.
That's not bad. Keith Lee and Braun Strowman. Yeah, holy smokes. Castles.
The Meat Castles. I like that.
Yeah.
Lee and Strowman, the Meat Castles.
Yep.
That's right.
We're here to 2 teams of singles. Let's do a women's one too. What women would?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Lee and Strowman. We're here to pound some meat. Sorry. Women's tag teams.
Yeah. He said we had to do 2 teams of singles wrestlers.
Okay. Well, what do you got for women's? Like, what women's tag team would you see?
I would play into the Australian nature of it, Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm.
Of course. Tony's one of yours.
I kind of something's telling me to do.
Well,
something
Rhea's a big girl, and Tony's thick, so maybe thighs and size. What? Don't give me that look.
I don't want it to be about. Well, I guess we're calling them beef stew because they're big.
I was gonna say, man, you're the one who's going on looks here.
Potato. I don't know. I'm trying to not objectify them in a way, but I guess I'm objectifying Otis and.
You're right. You're objectifying the big men's.
Because he's a beefy boy.
Yeah. Come on, man. Shoot, this would be
something's telling me Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke. I don't know.
The Botch sisters.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great one.
We got a lot of questions. We got to go.
I know. I know there's a good one out there, and I'm just not thinking of it right now because my brain is fried because I just spent all of my energy screaming about Super Showdown.
And we're not near done because we got to watch Revolution here in a little bit, which is why we're in a bit of a hurry. Sorry, guys.
It's gonna be a long day. All right, Martin. I'm gonna think about this. I'm sure I can come up with some better ones if I'm not on the spot, and I'll put them in the Facebook discussion group because that is a fun question. It would be fun, and I'm just like right now.
Thank you, Martin.
Cena and Goldberg, the part-time connection.
Oh God.
Oh God. Part-time partners.
Goldberg and Brock Lesnar.
Part-time partners.
The part-timers.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Martin. Next up, he actually sent me a private message this week with a voice note of how to properly say his name.
Oh.
Jardy de Wanamaker.
Oh, cool. All right. Jardy. There we go.
So, Jardy.
So you were right. You were right the first
time. With the hard J. No, you were right. I was saying Yardy.
I was saying Yardy.
It's a
whatever.
soft.
It's Jardy.
Oh, whatever. Jardy, thank you very much for the question and for sending me that note. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, this is a question more for Nick. I heard some time ago that you were trying or planning to make a BWO roster on WWE 2K20. Is there any update on that, or is 2K20 still too much of a garbage fire to make that possible? Beep, 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 beep. Breaking news. Ian and I did finally have our sort of quarterly meeting this week. And I have been working out my various stream schedules that I have across tech and work and all kinds of stuff like that. I did find 2 additional spots for you guys where we're going to do some extra content, hopefully starting next week. I want to do a watch party of AEW Dark and NWA Power, where we're probably going to do that not on Tuesday night, but possibly on Thursdays. So for those of you that are interested in watching that along with me, after we do our show on Tuesday and we watch Dynamite and NXT on Wednesdays, let's get together and watch Dark and NWA Power on Thursdays. Okay, just throwing that out there. Friday nights after SmackDown, yes. The Twitch channel is finally going to get started. We are going to start building the roster next Friday. So I'm going to soup to nuts from the very beginning with you guys. We're going to download the game. We're going to set up the universe with our logos and all kinds of good stuff. And we're going to build the BWO universe in WWE 2K20. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if they've made huge improvements.
Punishment. You hate yourself, don't you?
I do.
Oh my God.
Do. So stay tuned, Jardy. Look for like 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's a terrible time for you over there in Europe, unfortunately. But that's about the only time slot I could find where I could spend 2+ hours doing yet another live stream on top of all of the stuff that we're doing throughout the week. So we might add on to that in the future, but stay tuned. We'll see how it goes with the game. If it is complete trash, we'll see how far we can get.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Next up, Brandon asks, hey, guys, I've got 3 questions today. Okay, we're going fast. With Lance Archer signing, what are some matches you would like to see and fantasy book his creative for the next year?
Yeah, no.
He hasn't even debuted.
I got you right here because I was already fantasy booking him in my head. So let me break out. Let's break out some Ian booking here. Lance Archer interferes in the match between Jericho and Moxley tonight, not because he's joining the Inner Circle, but because he is a hired gun. He and Moxley go on a 3 or 4 month feud whenever the next pay-per-view is. It gets blown off with Lance Archer finally getting defeated by Moxley, who goes on to do other things. Afterwards, Archer's cut loose. He's still in AEW, but no longer on Jericho's payroll. And somewhere along the line, he crosses paths with Jurassic Express. They piss him off, and he decides he's going to hurt them. He ends up breaking one of Luchasaurus's legs, takes him out, and then starts preying on both Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt. Luchasaurus is helpless to help his little friends, So Lance Archer, in keeping with his mantra of everybody dies, keeps threatening to actually legitimately take out Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt. And there's that drama of, is he actually going to hurt them and end their careers? And Luchasaurus is powerless to help them. Ultimately, Luchasaurus heals from his injury, and we end up having a Luchasaurus versus. So we get the big little guy combinations where Lance Archer can take on Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt. And then we end up having the final matches of the feud would be Luchasaurus and Lance Archer having big boys who can do big flippy things matches, which would be a hell of a lot of fun. I don't know if that's a whole year worth of booking, but that's just like the first things I could imagine seeing from Lance Archer over there. That'd be a lot of fun.
I'll give you a good old Picard. Make it so.
Make it so.
Make it so. Next up, who is Adam Cole Baby's next challenger?
Velveteen Dream.
I agree.
That's just that. I think that's just a done deal. I think we'll find out next week on NXT. That's the plan.
I feel like Keith Lee might be in that conversation at some point.
He's the champ. Why do you keep doing this? He's not gonna get. He's not the next challenger.
He's never let me finish.
Go on.
I was gonna say I feel like it's too soon now. He's got the title, all of that stuff. So later, I feel like later this year, yes.
Okay.
We could potentially get that.
I'm sorry. I'm still. Nick, I'm sorry. I'm still triggered from Super Showdown. Everything makes me scream.
Yeah. Line Drive in the chat says he's not a fan of Dream versus Cole right now. Still too rusty.
I don't think anybody is. Like that's. I think that if they make that not the case, it's because that Roderick Strong Dream match was not good, and they're like they might pull back on it. But I think that was the plan, was Dream.
Lastly, he says if Goldberg was to stay as champ after Mania and put on good matches, what are some matches you would like to see? My top would be Big E, as talked about on the New Day podcast.
Let's be clear. The big if here is put on good matches.
He's not beating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
And if he does, he's not putting on good matches. So this was all part of the plan to get Roman Reigns all the rub that the Fiend, Brock Lesnar, everything, and by doing this, you put all of that onto Roman Reigns when he beats Goldberg, because Goldberg's beating them all now. Ugh.
It's all for Roman.
But at least you're not having to ruin the Fiend by having Roman beat him.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's crap.
What are some matches you'd like to see? Big
Matt
E.
Riddle.
I'd love to see
Matt Riddle. I want to watch Matt Riddle embarrass him.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, after all this talk and everything, I'd like to see Matt Riddle go out there, go into business for himself, and just embarrass Goldberg, and then just get himself fired. Just get himself fired. Like, he gives zero fucks as it is. Just get yourself fired and just have on the way out, just take out Goldberg. I think that'd be hilarious. Wouldn't happen, but neither would Goldberg having good matches. So if we're in Fantasyland already, I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brandon. Next up, Roberto asks, what's going on, fellas? What's up, man? With what happened at Super Showdown yesterday with Goldberg and their SmackDown plans or lack thereof, why do you think it is hard for the WWE or Vince to make new superstars? You got stars and great talent, but none since Cena. There has been not since Cena, there has been a powerhouse star. Do you think Vince doesn't want another Rock or Austin or Cena happening? They left to make movies and other projects and leave them stranded.
Well, Cena left, I think, after giving Vince enough time. Austin got injured, and Rock left too early. So, and it's also, I mean, it happened back in the day with Hogan and Macho Man getting too big for the company and having somewhere else to go. So now it's more dangerous. With AEW being there now, it is a more dangerous scenario for WWE. Even though WWE has FU money, they are in a predicament as far as creative is concerned, where they have another company that can take their people and do more interesting things with them and create stars of their own. But why is it hard for them to build stars? Well, because they're falling into the same trap that WCW and before them, Vern Gagne made, and that is relying too much on old stars and the law of diminishing returns. And you go for the quick buck with what you're confident about, as opposed to taking a chance and possibly losing money for the short term. Vince is also up against a wall right now where he's really beholden to his shareholders, and they're already seeing this kind of constant downward trend. So he's got to throw as many spikes out there as he can and keep bailing water out of the ship as much as possible. And he doesn't really have as much leeway to take chances. So I kind of understand why he's like, crap, I've got to, go with the tried and true, as opposed to taking chances on new stars and trying to make another Cena taking the chances that they did on Cena to make him into what he became and allowing him to be what he became. But it's also the fact that Cenas don't come out around all the time. Even Roman Reigns isn't a Cena.
No, there's also the anomaly of CM Punk, that lightning in a bottle that happened for about a year or two.
But he's also, they couldn't control CM Punk.
That happened
no
in the
idea
middle
what they
of
had.
Cena, right? It's the middle of Super Cena. So that the kind of at the tail end of what we knew as Super
But
Cena.
CM Punk isn't a guy that could be the man, the guy. He's not a WWE top guy. He's CM Punk. It's a whole different thing. He could never be the face of your company because of his personality and because of who he is. And he'll never recognize that in himself. But it's something that on the outside we can look at and say, okay, we understand why Vince didn't want to pull the trigger on him. He's
one of his biggest complaints. He was never on the merch. He was never on the banners. He was never on the what do you call them? The programs or any of that kind of stuff, right? Even though he was the champion.
He was on the cover of the video game. He was on the cover of a lot of stuff. He got a lot of stuff. He was just never He never main evented WrestleMania, which was a beef that he had. But no, I think it's the problem of short-term panic. Yeah. And this has been discussed ad nauseum, I think, over the years of watching Vince constantly do this. And the law of diminishing returns is starting to happen more and more and more. Unfortunately, now he's in a position where he does have the FU money, but Nick, I think it's a house of cards where really, does he have a lot of money? Yes, but it's propped up by the TV deals and Saudi Arabia. If the ratings go down, the TV deals go away. And the Saudi Arabia deal ain't going to last forever either. They start getting less popular and less attendance. Those deals go away. And then they're really screwed because that's all their money gone. So I think in the long term, they do have to be careful. They are more vulnerable than a lot of people are giving them credit for because they just got so much FU. But they've never been more profitable, but they've also haven't been this unpopular since the early 90s.
Yeah.
So, this could all go away in the matter of a year or two.
I'd say the best example that we saw of this potentially happening again was the last 18 months of Becky Lynch. That's about, and how's that working now?
Can they?
Like,
No, I disagree. I think Becky's still very hot. She's still the #1 merch seller.
Sure.
Maybe amongst the smarks, they're like, I'm getting bored of Becky Lynch. Meh.
Guilty.
Yeah. Well,
Guilty.
and I am mad at you for that.
That's fine.
Well,
you're mad at me for a lot of stuff. It's
no,
whatever.
no, I'm not. I'm not mad at you for a lot of stuff. I'm mad at you for that though.
Okay. Thank you very much, Roberto. Great question. Brad, next. Hey, guys, got a couple of questions I've been unable to get to posting to before now.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with wrestling, but with the buzz of Rowan's shirt watch, who are your top 5 musical artists or groups across all genres? Mine would be Metallica, Five Finger Death Punch, Within Temptation, Rush, and Garth Brooks. His concerts are unbelievable. Yes, they are.
Fair enough.
I went to one in the 96, 97, I think it was. It was incredible. So
that's quite a spread of artists there too. He's got.
It's very eclectic. Yeah. Okay, so what are your top 5 music artists across all genres?
Jesus, that's like choosing between my children. Like I would really have to. I mean, I could list off 100, and depending on the day, they could all change. But I mean, the band I've been to more concerts than any other band is Nine Inch Nails. I've been to dozens of concerts of theirs, and incredible every time. Nine Inch Nails, David Bowie, Gojira, Pink Floyd. I know I'm gonna miss a million other ones. Faith No More. I'll throw this out there, and I know there's a million more that later I'm gonna think about. Be like, oh yeah, no, that band. That's just off the top of my head.
There's a post I put up in 2014 on Facebook that constantly comes up in my memories, and funny enough, it showed up. I posted it on February 4th, 2014, so it showed up in my memories, and this is where I'm going. So I'm gonna give you bands, but I'm also gonna give you the stint of albums that were influential to me.
Okay.
Because I get asked every now and then, like, what were the albums that made you a metal fan? Like, what were your quintessential albums that turned you around? And what would if you were approached by another fan who wasn't a fan of metal but was kind of curious and interested, what 5 albums would you hand them to have them listen to metal? So I'm going to put that spin on this for me.
Okay.
You guys can take it however you want. Vulgar Display of Power by Pantera.
Okay.
The Blackening by Machine Head from 2007. was one of those albums that was lightning in a bottle that they'll probably never be able to do again.
Right.
Slipknot's self-titled debut in 99, 2000
Fair enough.
was absolutely a game changer in metal. Dream Theater's Images and Words from 1994. If you're into prog and, some like melodic metal, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
I don't even know if that qualifies in there. And the big one, And Justice for All by Metallica.
Right.
Was the album that turned me into a metalhead. And all of those came after that.
I can't even list. I can't list that as my favorite Metallica album just because there's no bass on it.
That's fine. You're a purist. That's whatever. Anyway, my point being is that if the question is about like you said across all genres, I understand. I don't really listen across all genres anymore.
He's a metalhead. He's a pure metalhead.
I listen to metal. I listen to some electronic stuff every now and then. I even listen to classical sometime. If you've never introduced anybody to classical music, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, that kind of stuff, you have to go listen to some of that because it's heavy metal in that time period. If you listen to some of Beethoven's stuff, it's heavy metal.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's very heavy stuff.
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't put Soundgarden in there. Soundgarden is one of my like top. Chris Cornell, #1 singer of all time. So I could keep going on this. I'm glad you made it just metal. I should have done that because I could just
it easier.
I could just keep running away with this.
5 music artists or groups across all genres. NWA Straight Outta Compton was a big one.
We're doing albums.
It just, I'm thinking about what are albums and artists across genres that had an impact on me.
Right.
I listed out 5 of them there for you from the metal side, but yeah, I was a big hip hop and gangster rap guy in the 80s as a kid.
Yeah.
Mainly because they were saying dirty words. Let's
Sure.
call it what it is. I was 12 and they were saying fucking all kinds of other words. Oh, he said a bad word.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I was real big into Alice in Chains. I really liked Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell. So I was never. I'll give you a controversial one. I never really liked Nirvana.
All right. I'm not gonna complain too much about that. I was a punk kid. I loved punk a lot. And if you want to start listing off punk bands, we'll be here all day too. But Nirvana was very punky to me, so I dug them a lot.
Yeah. I was more of a Stone Temple Pilots and Alice in Chains guy.
I was actually. What's funny is I was Alice in Chains #2. Soundgarden and Pearl Jam were like tied at the first back in the day. And now Soundgarden, as I've gotten older, has gone way through the roof. I'd actually take Pearl Jam out of the equation altogether. Soundgarden, like numero uno. But like you get into any genre, I'll just sit here and list off bands that I freaking love in that genre, whether it's metal, country, punk, whatever. We'll be here all day. So
I'll give you a country one. I'm not even into country. Luke Combs right now, North Carolina Strong. We're going to see him in September. So
fair enough.
Good stuff. Good poppy country music.
I'm a big Waylon and Merle. I've seen Shooter Jennings a couple of times. He actually comes up the street here to a little bar, and I've seen him with like 25 people, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I've seen Hank the Third a few times as well. So
awesome. Let's see. Oh, he also asked, do you think there could be another promotion along the lines of Lucha Underground that could survive on just TV episodes alone? The one thing that got me about Lucha Underground was the fact that all the vignettes were shot like mini TV episodes and told an overall story arc throughout the season. Promos were limited to just strictly in the ring and were short and to the point. To me, it was an unbelievable show and is what got me back into wrestling after about a 5 or 6 year hiatus.
Dude, absolutely. It was an amazing show. The tragedy was because they shot it like a show, that's not how wrestlers' lives work. And also they had a bunch of problems backstage with some of the politics with AAA and some of the people involved. People that were making the show they didn't know how the wrestling world worked, and so stumbled into a lot of pitfalls in that. Could it happen again? Yeah, I would love to see it happen again because I completely agree with Brad here that the style of that show is absolutely incredible. It's one of the things that made me love it as well. Was it was watching, you were basically watching a moving comic book with pro wrestling lucha matches scattered in and out of it, and they were able to edit those matches to make them even better. It wasn't strictly live. There's a few matches that we saw live that they cut all the botches out and they picked the perfect angles for the certain moments. So they were able to make the matches even better through editing and changing stuff around. I'd love to see Lucha Underground come back. It won't, because they've just lost all the talent and burned a lot of bridges, and so it's unfortunate.
There's a big reason Ian and I pursued El Rey to do a show for them.
Yeah.
And we were massive fans of Lucha Underground. It's a shame it went the way it did.
It really is. I would love to see another show like it, and I think it's doable.
Yeah.
It's doable, but it's going to take people who know a lot more about wrestling than the ones who did that show, and it's going to take.
And let's be
a
clear:
lot of
the only
forethought.
reason AEW is off and running right now is because they found a billionaire that would back them. And it's going to take something of that caliber. They need a financial backing, because season after season of Lucha Underground, they kept cutting budget, and the stars started getting pissed. They were not. We had different talent come in. They were getting paid less and less, but they were locked into these very restrictive contracts where they couldn't work other places. You saw the production of the show start to go down and down and down after that first season. That was just incredible. So anyway. A lot of lessons to learn there from that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that Lucha Underground is one of my favorite things that I've watched in the last decade, all across the board. So
100%,
I absolutely love it.
100%.
Thank you very much, Brad. Next up, Abraham. Sup, Esme's Pod Daddies?
Yeah.
I laugh every time she starts. We're Pod Daddies.
We're Pod Daddies, Pod Papas.
That's funny. Some of the Orbital Jigsaw other shows call me Pod Dad.
Pod Dad.
And then they got me a Godfather picture with my face on it called the Podfather. I will make you the podcast great.
That's right. I'll make it. You can be a man.
2 questions.
Look how
Did
they
Sammy
massacred my boy. Okay.
Did Sammy turning heel the day of his epic Montreal return pop, sadly missed on the list of great returns, hit him? Will he ever get it back to that level again? Hurt him, yes.
Yeah.
Did his return pop evil Montreal thing hurt him?
I think his heel turn hurt him in general. I think because Sammy was one of the great baby faces in wrestling and all the way up through NXT. And I don't know if he can ever get back there now, because he's gotten himself to a place where he's such a wonderful heel character. And I think obviously a distant second, but still like a great Bobby the Brain Heenan style heel. Just mouth Jimmy the Heart, like runs his mouth, great, just annoying guy. Can he ever go back to being a face? I don't know. It would be a major undertaking, and I don't know if WWE cares enough about him to put in that time and effort.
Yeah.
And that's more of the issue.
That's my concern is that they don't see him as that valuable. They don't see that.
Exactly. If they saw value in having him be face again, they'd do it. I don't know that they even value him as being a heel enough. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I don't think that him turning heel that particular day hurt him as much as turning him heel in general, and WWE's lack of really caring about him other than just another guy to fill up their mid-card roster.
Right. He also asked, which I'm not really sure what to make of this one, will having one of each title and those champs stand at the top of WWE and compete on any brand at any time work?
Oh, if you unify? Wait, what?
Will having one of each title and their respective champions stand at top of WWE and compete on any brand at any
as
time
opposed
work?
to being locked to a brand. So for instance, if you have the WWE title, the Universal title, one tag team, not SmackDown and Raw, and then Intercontinental Women's. So they've done this before. They have had, titles and then the 2 shows. So basically undo a brand split in a sense. Will that
Triple
work?
H win both titles and then consolidate
It's
them,
worked before. I mean, it's
Daniel Bryan.
It's a different style of booking, and Nick, when they first split the brands again, we were commenting on the pros and cons, and when they had like the brand specific pay-per-views, and then they went back to mixed brand pay-per-views, we talked about the pros and cons.
Right.
And there's upsides and downsides to both ways of doing it. The problem is that WWE will always show off the downsides as well as the upsides. They almost never are able to negate the downsides, even though it's fairly obvious what the downsides are going to be. It's for some reason they're unable to book around it. So there are downsides to having, single champs that compete on both brands, and that is overexposure. You have your
limited
champs
roster exposure.
Your champs coming out on both shows, and that gives less time for everyone else. And the more titles
the
you
only
have,
time that works is when it's Rock, Cena, and DX the whole time, and I'm sorry, Rock, Stone Cold, and DX every week on both shows.
But the roster was a fraction of the size then.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And for most of that, like SmackDown didn't come around until the late 90s, and there was only one show. So it's a different game now. Like having more titles, having more shows, having more things going on makes more sense because you have so many more people and there's so much talent that they're sitting on that they could be doing something with, that they're spending money on, that they're throwing away money at people who could go out there and make them money. But they can't because they don't have enough space. And then having more titles gives them a bit more breathing room there. It devalues the individual titles, unfortunately, and that's one of the downsides. But that's the thing. You've got both sides of this equation. Some good, some bad, and it's like picking the tires in the racing games. Some will have more traction, but they're not as fast, and you just have to figure out which one you want. So.
Thank you very much, Abraham. Next up, Billy. I think my question didn't post the first time. Oh, okay. But guys, you rock.
Thank you.
Thank you. What is your ideal spread for a wrestling event?
Ooh.
Things that make the show better. Any people there? Food, drink, snacks, favorite chair. Me, it's a pizza, a sweet tea, and a can of Copenhagen. I'll ask.
Copenhagen makes you feel so
boy
good.
After my heart right
Copenhagen, just like you know it should.
Sweet.
Sorry.
Sweet.
Put a little chaw in your mouth. Sorry.
Yep.
Copenhagen, man. I haven't had a Copenhagen in
my little dirt.
I haven't had a little Copenhagen between my cheek and gums since I was in college. That's how long it's been.
I dipped in school because you can't smoke standing out on the baseball field. So
of course.
Throw a little chaw in, and I got to a point where I was playing center field where I would put 2 in.
Oh,
just
Jesus.
in case it's just the nicotine, right? You get build up a tolerance for it after a while. The first time I saw a guy without a jaw, though, I got 2 lungs.
Good.
John Wayne lived without 1 lung. I'll switch to smoking. That's obviously more healthy for me than dipping.
All right, ideal spread. Well, this is an interesting question because I'm about to have to figure out a spread for a wrestling event in about an hour.
I'm gonna be doing wings and pizza.
You doing wings and pizza? I might mess with a pizza today. Pizza does sound really good. I have to admit, usually I tend to get a little fancy schmancy and get a little like crudité and some charcuterie board. I'm not kidding. Dude, I got a block of wood up there, and I will get some really nice prosciutto and some deli meats.
Artesian cheeses.
You damn right. I'll get some artesian cheeses. Get some Mount Tam Cowgirl Creamery going in here. Triple cream brie, baby. Yeah. I'll get some fog cutter. I will mess with it.
The big question I have for you, Billy, is it's important. What do you use as a spitter?
Oh, for crying
Are you a paper towel and a cup guy, or are you using a 20-ounce bottle?
No. That's an easy one. You finish off your Miller Lite, and you could put it right back in there.
Yeah. Beer cans never work.
Yeah, beer cans the best, man. Any people there? Usually these days it's me and Dog Ziggler. Every once in a while I get a guest. Used to love like 5 or under. Never a big party, but just a bunch of my boys get together and scream at the TV.
I used to like doing parties and hosting and stuff like that, but then I got older and I hated cleaning up after
exactly.
it. So usually these days it's me with a set of headphones on watching by myself because Esther's got other stuff going on and yeah. Usually I'm just either in here on the desk or out in the recliner.
Yeah, I'll
with headphones on.
Sometimes I'll invite people. Actually, I'm trying to think. What was the last? Royal Rumble. JB was over for Royal Rumble. She watched that with me. That was a lot of fun because it's fun to hear her scream about people's outfits. Yeah. So good time. But today for Revolution is going to be me and Dog Ziggler and my other little old man Axel and some beers. And you know what? Damn it. I'm not going to lie. Pizza and some buffalo boneless wings, I think, today. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Billy. Next up, Brian asks us, last week I asked about Hall of Fame ideas and would like to expand on it. Okay. Do you think any journalists should be considered? An example would be Bill Apter. Okay. If they would consider some of the independent journalists for the WWE Hall of Fame, who do you think deserves a spot and why?
Interesting. I actually, because honestly, the first person you'd think of is Dave Meltzer, who's been doing it for decades and decades and decades.
But all he's done is shit on WWE.
But that's kind of what I was going to say. That's what I was going to go next, is that here's the thing. I actually think he's more, he does, by the way, first of all, he doesn't shit on it anywhere nearly as much as Alvarez does. Alvarez is just, ruthless.
That dude's a damn Wolverine.
Dave actually tends to try to have a little bit more of an unbiased opinion on it, even though it's obviously super biased.
Right.
WWE style is not his style. But I don't think they would never want him in there because of all the things. Like, he's unpopular because of the number of times he's messed with their bottom line by revealing stories and breaking news before they won it. So he definitely, while I think should be venerated for his time doing what he does, being a wrestling journalist, and also his absolutely insane knowledge of the business. I think that if they were to create a journalist category for the Hall of Fame, that would be biased, even more biased than the other, stuff they have in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame itself, like that would just be so like like Sam Roberts would be going into that thing, right? It's just basically who's a WWE shill, and that's not fun. So, yeah,
Sam Roberts would be about the only one that I could think of, honestly. In my head, I was going, Cornette's kind of a journalist now. He's more of a historian, but
he would go in as
he inducted Rock and Roll Express in, so
right.
In a couple
he should
years
be in
ago,
for a couple
he's shown that he can work with them. Huh?
He should be in for a couple of reasons.
Sure. But he's his own worst enemy right now.
But like,
anyway.
I mean, they're putting personalities in there. Like Mean Gene is in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? There should be more announcers going in there. I think is Howard Finkel in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, they put the Fink in.
They put the Fink in. Yeah. So like stuff like that, like personalities, people who are around a WWE, yes. Journalists, I don't know, because they're not really wrestling personalities. They're that next orbit out, even from the personalities that are employed by WWE. So
if you think about like the concentric circles of like, here's the business, and then here's Vince and all of that, and the superstars, and the commentators and everybody else, and then then you get out to
journalists are supposed to be, obviously they're not, but they're supposed to be objective. How do you retain your objectivity if you're in the Hall of Fame, which, let's be clear, is just a made up award from this company? Yeah. Right.
Line Drive in the chat saying Jim Jonsin, Brian Gerwitz,
yes.
Backstage people, yes. I definitely want to. Jim Jonsin for all of his musical contribution, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Jim Jonsin absolutely should be in there, especially now that he's no longer working for them. But I don't know if they left on good terms or not. But
to be determined, I suppose. Thank you very much, Brian. That's a good question to think about.
Interesting.
Next up, Patrick asks, can't think of a wrestling question this week because my brain walked out when that bald bastard Goldberg beat the Fiend. So power rank your favorite Quentin. Oh my God.
He knows you.
You guys don't even know. Power rank your favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. Thanks for all the great content you guys keep me sane through WWE booking.
Yeah.
All right. So the first thing I'll say is if you haven't seen QT8, the documentary of basically the career of Quentin Tarantino, from writing True Romance and working on Thelma and Louise all the way up through the Harvey Weinstein stuff and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it is phenomenal. If I'm power ranking all of them, oh good God, I'll be here for an hour. That's like fantasy booking or
there's only like 8 or 9 of them. Power rank them.
Yeah, but
what's your favorite? What's your next favorite?
That's like again picking your children, like you said earlier. That's like those are some of my all-time favorite movies in there.
I can do mine.
I have the one that I think is the. I'll do this. I'll give some superlatives. My favorite Quentin Tarantino movie is Pulp Fiction.
You keep going. I'm going to come right back. You keep going.
Okay. My favorite Quentin Tarantino movie is Pulp Fiction. And that's a hard decision to make because I really, really, really enjoy Django Unchained and Hateful Eight. But Pulp Fiction, for me, stands out as just a huge thing that kind of... Reservoir Dogs is the thing that put him on the map. Pulp Fiction is the thing that cemented him in a big way. The one that I think is the unsung hero in Quentin Tarantino's repertoire is Jackie Brown. And between Pam Grier and Sam Jackson, I think they did a phenomenal job with that movie. The entire cast and the dialogue and everything. Like, Quentin is known for his dialogue. and just the way that he writes. Right? So I look at my all-time favorite movie to watch that he's ever been a part of, True Romance.
Really?
True Romance. I absolutely adore True Romance.
Huh. All right.
But for the ones that he actually directed, he wrote True Romance.
Yes,
He didn't direct
it.
That was Tony Scott.
Correct.
But Pulp Fiction as his directorial one, True Romance is probably my favorite one. The one I keep watching over and over again, Django Unchained.
Huh. Even though it had the useless fourth act. I hate the ending.
It was useless,
it was absolutely useless. It was just to give Quentin Tarantino an opportunity to get in there and act like an idiot, and then extra, like it wasn't necessary. Completely unnecessary.
So I disagree with you, and they talk about this in the QT8. So if you haven't seen QT8, I'll save that for you guys, but he talks about how you never see like sort of the African-American superhero at the end coming in and saving the day and overcoming adversity and being the champion at the end and taking out all the bad guys.
Sure.
Up to and including Sam Jackson himself, who was revealed at the end, spoiler alert, to not even need the cane and to just be a dastardly son of a bitch himself.
All-around dastardly son of a bitch. Dude,
Yep.
Sam Jackson in Django Unchained is such an underrated performance. You don't even realize it's him half the time.
Fun fact I'll leave you with, Michael Madsen was supposed to play the role, John Travolta's
in
part
Pulp Fiction, yeah.
in Pulp Fiction. And for some booking reason, or Madsen just thought it sounded silly. I forget what he was off doing at the time. He couldn't do it, so that's how they got in Travolta. Imagine the Jackrabbit Slim.
No, obviously
with Michael Madsen.
The best casting oversight.
A lot of love for Kill Bills. They just never really connected with me in the way that some of the other films did.
Fair enough, but you're wrong. So let's see. If I need to power rank now, let's see. Let me see.
Oh God,
Let me
here
see.
we go.
Yeah, of all of my Tarantino films. Let's see. Yeah.
We got a pay-per-view to get to.
Look at this. Oh, I suppose you're right. Sorry, I just had to look at them all here. Which one? Sorry, my favorite Tarantino movies is Kill Bill. Kill Bill 1 and 2. I think of it as one film. I wish that they would have released the whole bloody affair, which because he was forced to split it up originally by Harvey Weinstein, that piece of shit. Forced to split it up into two, and Weinstein also supported the MPAA in making him have the Crazy 88 scene go black and white after the eye pluck, which I think is horseshit. The whole bloody affair was only released once as a completed whole film. I believe it was in a Venice Film Festival. They screened it. But now with Weinstein being out, Miramax being gone, who knows if we'll ever actually see Kill Bill put together as one whole film. Kill Bill, I just consider it one whole film anyway. I will always watch it back to back. And it is by far and away my favorite Quentin Tarantino film. Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, neck and neck at second. And then followed by like Inglourious Bastards and Django Unchained, and Jackie Brown's totally unsung as well. Yeah. I love Kill Bill because I love genre cinema. He is just basically on a little like dancing party bus through all of these different styles of genre and exploitation cinema, and I am just sitting there feasting the entire time. It's like watching every movie that I grew up with all rolled into one around an absolutely incredible character in The Bride, played by Uma Thurman, who is in just the most visceral, incredible performance I could possibly imagine. Just the whole goddamn thing is everything I want in a movie. I'd actually go so far as to say Kill Bill is one of my favorite movies of all time, not just Quentin Tarantino films. I freaking adore that movie. I adore all of the cameos, the number of times that like I'll just watch. People never watch it with me because I'm so goddamn obnoxious. Well, this is the lens they actually would use back in the day for the Shaw Brothers films, and he actually got the lens and using it for this. It's totally obnoxious. The character Pai Mei is played by it's the worst. But I love that film. So easily for me, that's my number one.
Gotcha. Thank you very much, Patrick. I feel like Ian and I are both cinephiles. We could sit here and talk about movies all day, but oh, man. Next up, Kyle asks, given recent events in Saudi Arabia, it got me thinking about matches tied to characters such as the Buried Alive match with Undertaker and the Inferno match with Kane. that almost act like a kryptonite for them. If you were to make any such match for the Fiend character, what would it be? I like this question. What's the Fiend's kryptonite? What's the thing that
I don't know. Ramblin' Rabbit
50-year-old bald men.
Yeah, 50-year-old bald men is called the part-timer match.
Right.
That's the Fiend's match. Ramblin' Rabbit was supposed to tell us what the Fiend's kryptonite was, but he never got around to because we got to hotshot Goldberg into beating him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What kind of match? I'm scared of gimmick matches with Bray Wyatt, dude. I'm sorry. After the House of Horrors match and after the bugs in the WrestleMania ring, the idea of a gimmick match with Bray Wyatt now terrifies me. Frankly, it should have been something along the lines of a Hell in a Cell match, but they ruined that. So, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. It's tough to say.
I could see a crazy sort of funhouse match where it's like crazy mirrors and I'm thinking of like a circus clown funhouse kind of thing. Where it's a spin-off of the Firefly Funhouse, but it's something else.
I don't know what they could do in WWE because I'd love to see like a true death match and just have it be a bloodbath, but you can't do that. It's PG.
Nope.
So,
he also asked, personally he thinks bringing back and modifying the Chamber of Horrors match into a singles contest and weapons strung about similar to the third fall cage from Cole Gargano at TakeOver Toronto would be it. To me, the idea of the Fiend getting shocked like Abdullah the Butcher did in 1991.
Oh, no.
Wow.
One of the most controversial finishes in wrestling history. Okay.
Yeah, with right story and timing could make a compelling match moment.
Yeah,
sure.
And then they could actually hang him like they did Big Boss Man.
Not touching that one.
Right. Good Lord. Yeah. I don't know. I think we need to know more about the Fiend character before we can really establish this. I think
we're just getting started with that.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be more established about what he is, why he is, how he is.
Which was the big mistake in strapping him so early. When the whole ethos behind me saying keep it in your pants was so that you could develop this mythical character. I also think it's a mistake to call him the Fiend Bray Wyatt. It should be Bray Wyatt in the Funhouse and the Fiend.
Define clearly that there's one and then there's the other.
Yep. Thank you, Kyle. Very good questions. Next up, Brian asks, hey, guys, I know I asked a question before. Wait, he already had a question. That was the Journalist Hall of Fame. But this morning, while consuming copious amounts of caffeine, I came up with the greatest storyline WWE could ever do.
I empathize.
Bring back Jinder Mahal and slowly build him back up this time. Assuming McIntyre wins the title, they can be friends and come SummerSlam. They're in a tag match against AOP for the tag titles. Near the end of the match, Rollins and Murphy try to interfere, but Heath Slater comes down and helps Drew and Jinder win the titles. Come Survivor Series, 3MB are ruling Raw as the top face faction until Jinder, with Heath as his mouthpiece and lackey, turn on Drew. WrestleMania 37 is where 3MB implodes. This would be a bigger than when the Mega Powers exploded at WrestleMania 5. What do you think?
Well, hashtag Brian Booking has just attacked us.
No shit, I love it.
Holy crap.
Please post that in the Facebook discussion group and let us all kind of tear it apart and have fun with it.
I mean, you gotta build up Heath. You can't just have him thrown into this either. Like, he's the one who needs the most build back. Jinder at least was a champ recently. Heath's got kids. That's all he's got going for him right now. I'm taking. By the way, I'm addressing this seriously. I'm trying to take this seriously. Be like, if you're gonna do this, we could easily brush this off and be like, ha ha ha, 3MB explodes. This could actually be a thing.
It could.
And here's the thing. Here's something that's going to blow your mind. Is that Drew McIntyre recently has said in interviews that Jinder's coming back soon, and when he does, he's going to really impress people. And so he's been pulling for Jinder in interviews. So this is not out of the realm of possibility. If Drew's interested in working with Jinder and trying to get Jinder over, and you do some work on Heath Slater and get him back to being viable again, which you could do. I mean, when they strapped him with the tag championships, he was a jobber a month before. It's doable. Totally. So you theoretically could do this. Will WWE be able to pull this off? Of course not. But could they? Yeah, it's theoretically feasible.
Would it be bigger than when the Mega Powers exploded at WrestleMania 5? I don't.
No. Now we're getting crazy. Now that's
now
crazy.
You're getting a little
crazy
out
talk.
there.
That's Hogan and Macho Man. Like that's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different kettle of Slim Jims right there.
Yeah.
So, but it could be a lot of fun. I don't see it as being a WrestleMania main event when 3MB explodes, but it could be an interesting feud.
That was fun, Brian. Please post that in the group and let's have some fun with it.
Let's discuss it.
Next up, Esmeralda, Esme Standing Bear. What up, pod daddies?
There it is. Abraham called it.
With the success of Fighting With My Family, what other biopics do you want to see, and who would you cast in the key roles? Thanks for noticing, Abraham. Like to keep it fun. Biopics. Who has a good up-and-comer story?
You know what's really funny? I didn't think Paige, you could make a good biopic of Paige. I didn't. Fighting With My Family was way better than it should have been.
Yeah.
Right? And that's kind of the interesting thing is I think the ones that I want to see, you know, like there might be one that comes along and sneaks up on me and I'm like, damn, I had no idea. That was really good. And it was really good because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's honestly kind of, I think my answer to this is the biopic that I want to see is the one that I don't see coming. Like, would I like to see a biopic made of Piper, of Terry Funk, of Ric Flair, for God's sake, I mentioned him earlier, Vern Gagne, of Gorgeous George. Like, go back, get some of the old school guys and the shit they had to deal with. Lou Thez, Bruno Sammartino. Like,
I'll throw you a curveball.
Yeah.
Jesse Ventura.
Sure, Jesse Ventura would be a fascinating one.
Coming up through the movies, Governor of Minnesota, all of that stuff leading up to that. But
who do you
he started with Vern in Minnesota.
Who do you get to play Jesse, though? I mean, he's a pretty unique looking guy.
I don't know.
There's a lot, but the one that I think I'd want to see is the one that I don't see coming. The one where they put it out, and I'm like, really? You're making a biopic about Crush? Right, from the 90s.
The Bella Twins.
Well, no, I'm pretty can guarantee I will not want to see that one. I can pretty much guarantee. No, it's like the person I don't realize I want to see a biopic about.
Right.
Is the one I want to see. So that's gonna be my weird kind of backdoor answer to that question.
Yeah, I'm not sure who would play who. I mean, they spent almost a year trying to find the right girl to play young Soraya. So
right.
for Paige's movie. So
I know that
interesting.
They wanted to do a Hulk Hogan biopic, and they said that Chris Hemsworth was going to play Hogan. That's a pretty goddamn good casting call right there. I mean, you shave him bald, have him stack on a little bit more muscle. I think that's a good call. But again,
here's the last one. Here's the last one I'll throw at you.
All right.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
There you go. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, Nick. You just won. You win. I
would love to see young Vince coming up underneath.
It goes till WrestleMania, like young, like
Daddy
birth to WrestleMania 1.
Yeah,
birth to WrestleMania 1. That's the story I want to see from Vince.
God.
Oh.
And you know what? I would even enjoy it in Vince's revisionist history method.
No,
fine. Just
you keep it away from WWE. Like,
it would never happen.
You'd never happen. He could never give you authorization for all the stuff you'd need for that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Plus, there's nobody left besides Linda, I guess, that could tell the story.
Yeah. I mean, well, a lot of it's apocryphal at this point.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Vince is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Vince is the correct answer.
Thank you very much.
Who do you get to play Vince? Who the hell do you get to play Vince?
I don't know. I don't know.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, God.
No, it's got to be young Vince.
Thank you very much, Esme. We'll see you later for the pay-per-view. Next up, last but certainly not least, Marshall. Evening, fellas. Other than what happened on Thursday with Goldberg, what is a moment in wrestling that left you scratching your head, and did it end up paying off? Also would like to know if you think Cena will send the Fiend to the next level, or will he be a victim of the shovel? Thanks, guys, and thank you, Ian, for keeping your feed right side up. So the questions here is, what is a moment in wrestling that left you scratching your head, but did end up paying off?
Did or did not? And did it?
He said, and did it end up paying off?
Okay.
I'm gonna approach it like let's narrow this down a little bit. What's one that left us scratching our head, but ended up paying
ultimately?
Off
so I was
at
the time I was like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah.
But in the end, I was like, oh, nicely played. Sadly, I can't think of many where. No.
Hogan's turn at Bash at the Beach to end up forming NWO.
No, I thought that was brilliant at the time.
Yep. Oh yeah. Okay.
I was like, no, that's great. I'm trying to think of one where I was, because like, you say something that made me scratch my head. Vince challenges God. Mae Young gives birth to a hand. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing where I'm like, what? Oh, okay. No. I got one. Unmasking Kane. They unmasked Kane. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
That's a really good one.
Ended up working out. I'm like, ultimately, masked Kane is better. Period. But I had to say, in hindsight, unmasking Kane was pretty cool for what it was. Ultimately, it became cool. Like it ended up coming around. Yeah. What else?
I ended up coming around. I mean, more modern stuff. You guys might remember from Hell in a Cell. I ended up coming around on Fiend Seth from Hell in a Cell. And I think ultimately it spun Seth into the heel character he is now.
Out of your goddamn mind. I'm still not over that.
Yeah, I'm not either. Too soon. Too soon. I'm not ready to look at it positively yet.
Undertaker losing the streak. I was defending that week. Was Undertaker's streak getting broken by Brock? Ultimately, was it worth it? I think yes. I think the thing that really has hurt it now is Undertaker keeping on coming back. If the streak had been broken and then he'd been retired by Roman, I think it would have been the right decision.
Yeah. He'd be in the Hall of Fame already.
Looking at it evenly, I think it would have been the right decision to do.
Yeah.
Put all the rub on Roman. He's your next big guy. Okay, fine. From a business standpoint, I see it that way. My feelings, I'm still like, I don't want it, but it would have been the right thing. From a business standpoint, from a booking standpoint. Undertaker completely, every time he comes back, he undermines his own loss of the streak, in my opinion. But that was a head scratcher that I came around on. I think ultimately, it was the right decision.
He also asked, do you think Cena is going to send the Fiend to the next level, or is he going to be the victim of a shovel? I think he's going to. Cena's going to lay down for the Fiend.
Cena
and
has
to be
to
a
lay
big
down
deal.
for the Fiend. The Fiend.
If Cena beats the Fiend,
it's over. Then it's over.
I'm throwing my hands
then
up.
It's over.
We're calling it a day.
Yeah. If the Fiend lays down for Goldberg in order to spin it into Fiend, Cena and Goldberg Roman, okay, it's dumb. I hate how they did it, but it's the right decision as far as a WrestleMania card. Yeah. This is also, we didn't even talk about this on the show because we were running short of time. But Cena Fiend at WrestleMania has implications because remember WrestleMania 30, where the Fiend should have beat Cena? Where Bray should have beat Cena.
Yes.
Sorry, Bray versus Cena at WrestleMania 30, where Bray
I forgot about that.
Where Bray should have beaten Cena, right? That was.
I hope they steer into that a little bit and remind us.
No, he already is on Twitter. Bray's already steering into it on Twitter.
Good.
He's already saying it's a circle. It's all coming back around. This is what I really wanted was Cena at WrestleMania because I've got to avenge myself for the past, and this is going back into the Fiend is trying to avenge all of the things that happened to Bray.
Love it.
And so from that sense, this is the right thing. But the Fiend has to win for that to be the case.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way he doesn't beat John Cena.
Well,
that's
don't say that.
Rub.
Don't say that. We were saying there's no way that Goldberg.
Well, were there a title involved, I would be hesitant to say that. There's no title involved here.
Because there could be, because then they give Cena the win over Ric Flair. He's got the one more than Ric Flair, and he's not going to do it in this match.
Right. Totally. I think there's no way that Fiend does not win this.
Agree. I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
Skeptically optimistic.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Marshall, and thank you to all of the patrons for all of your amazing questions today. We got to run because we got a watch party to prep for in the Facebook discussion group. And if you guys want to watch that, make sure you're in there. Like our page, join the discussion group over at Facebook. Also, follow us over on Instagram and Twitter at BWO Podcast. We stream live right here on YouTube every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel because we are almost there, guys. We are on the home stretch to get to 1,000 subscribers. We need every single one of them.
It's going to
happen very soon. We are on that road to WrestleMania. BWOpodcast.com is where you can find links to all of our stuff, and you can listen to us on your podcast app of choice. And once again, thank you to all of our patrons for your questions every single week. If you guys would like to get yours in, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those awesome reward tiers so that you can get your questions in for the patron mailbag every single Saturday right after our main show. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And it's time for Pizza, Beer, and AEW. I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God!
Will somebody stop the damn match!
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.